Hi, this is Zena Harris.
And I'm Mark Rabin.
Welcome to the tie-in.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the tie-in. Today, we're speaking with Liz Rubin. She's the founder and CEO of Ecodeo, and we're excited to speak with her today. She's going to take us on a bit of an adventure. She's got tons of experience in the field, working with political campaigns and all the way down to the jungle and everywhere else in between. And so she's going to have some stories to tell.
Yeah. And, this is just, I love creative thinkers. And she has been working in the creative space for years, lots of different people. And I am curious to hear her perspective and where she takes this conversation because, gosh, I mean, it could go anywhere. So,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
yeah,
And
really
this is all
excited to
part of
talk.
it. Yeah, it's all part of what we're trying to do here, just have broad conversations and really expand, the breadth of the topics and conversations. So it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, cool. Here we go, Liz Rubin.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the tie-in. Today, we're speaking to my friend Liz Rubin and her company Ecodeo. And yeah, Liz and I know each other from Social Venture Network and then through various mutual friends and connections. And it's an honor to have you on our podcast today.
Thanks for inviting me, Mark. So good to see you and great to be with you, Sina.
Nice to meet you. I've heard about you. I'm so excited to chat with you today. So, thanks for being
Thanks.
on.
Of course. This is fun. I'm kind of nervous, but excited.
Well, so are we.
Yeah.
So, cool. Well, I'm curious. I know you and Mark have a bit of history together. You've known each other a little while. But I'm curious about your origin story and how you got into the work that you're doing. Can you take us back and sort of describe how you got into the creative space and what you're doing?
Sure. So I'm one of those American filmmakers. I've been a filmmaker about 25 years. So I worked in Hollywood, politics, advertising, documentary. I'm Gen X, so I came up in indie film in the 90s, which was a really exciting time, the same time as indie music, a lot of music scene and indie film. I got my chops, my training really in Hollywood in camera circles, working on those camera trucks, show after show after show, which is an apprentice system in a way. And I moved into documentary. And then from there, I got into politics, and I worked on United States former President Barack Obama's national video team. I traveled for 15 months behind a camera, filming rallies and interviews with a lot of vets and all kinds of folks around the country. During that time, I filmed a lot of stories about sustainability and had no idea about all of these incredible innovations that the administration was behind. For example, a wind farm in northern Michigan that had some federal funding to expand because of the way that the wind runs through the continent, and the enormous amount of power that can be produced. So this is the kind of thing and I was in these sort of filming these stories, and then in the mainstream press, I was just noticing this huge disconnect that there's none of these stories anywhere. Nobody knew anything about the enormous wind turbines out in Western Texas, or these multiple other innovations. And I was really passionate about it. After the campaign, I got hired as a contractor for working at the UN on the International Institute for Sustainable Development, also as a camera person. So I traveled to 5 continents, filming for a neutral reporting team around sustainable development meetings, like those climate talks all over the place.
Mhm.
And so I was in the room when the Paris Treaty got signed. And it was really, I mean, I was camera person, I wasn't delegate, but it was very influential for me. These were very formative things for me. And when I left the campaign, when I had left the Obama campaign and then started working on at the UN, I had started my company, but I was only doing it very part-time because it's very hard to start a company with no capital. And filmmakers are used to not having any money, and we don't look great on paper. It's hard to get loans. It was very difficult. So I just kind of did it as I could and as I got clients, and I did that for about 3 years. And then around 2015, 2016, I started working full-time, running Ecodeo. And my goal, just to wrap this, it was to create a body of work over time that would move the needle towards a climate stabilized planet, and to share the incredible innovations that are out there in sustainability with the masses in all kinds of different ways, different content for different purposes. So yeah, and here we are about,
Wow.
6 to 9 years. It depends how you look at it. 6 years full-time, 9 years since I started it.
I mean, that's amazing, Liz. Thank you for sharing that. It's I think it speaks really near and dear to Zena and our heart and our project here with the tie-in as well. What
You guys are cool.
Yeah, like what, just sort of talk us through a couple of the key projects that you've worked on, and sort of what you're looking at addressing. I mean, are you looking at broader climate challenges, or are you going down to sort of the micro level of looking at a very specific story in the Amazon, for example, or microplastics or something like that? Yeah, just so we
Yeah,
can get a picture of how broad or zoomed in you're looking at.
sure. It varies per client. So, I mean, we've worked, a lot in conservation in the past years. We've worked for probably like over 50 nonprofits, just a lot of conservation work. We have worked in the Amazon, with Amazon Watch, Rainforest Action Network, a bunch of other, nonprofits that are really trying to save enormous ecosystems and forests. We've worked for the Ocean Foundation, trying to conservation work. We've worked on wetlands projects, but we've also lately, especially, moved a lot more in the private sector. And so it depends on the project. Sometimes it's just the work we do is literally explaining the technology or the engineering or the science behind an innovation. So sometimes it could be more technical, and sometimes it's more storytelling, like depending on how and what it is. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, and I'm just curious, like in this time, 6 to 9 years as you've been doing this and like really focusing on this, how have you, like, what's the pulse out there? How have you seen the dial shift in terms of awareness, or I assume like you're looking at general public type awareness as opposed to maybe specific stakeholder groups? Is that, or maybe
Kind of
both?
both. Kind of both. Yeah, I'm going to go with both. Just because our work is often we're guns for hire, and we're hired to help the comms and the communications and marketing teams communicate what they do for specific purposes. So sometimes it's investor facing, sometimes it's consumer facing, sometimes it's B2B. But overall, I've seen both. I mean, I've seen a huge shift in consciousness. The markets, if you just look at the markets, global markets, they have definitely leaned towards, I mean, as John Kerry said, the train has left the station. Like the markets have already decided. They're much more conscious. People are buying more conscious products. There's renewables, there's EV, obviously, all the things. So huge shift since 9-10 years ago. It's household word now, eco stuff, climate, sustainability. So I've seen a big shift. The thing that's a slower shift is, as you well know, you guys know, and Mark and I've talked about this, is the shift of capital into climate sectors. And so therefore, the work only moves so quickly because of capital. And one of the places that capital has not moved quickly enough is in climate communications. It's often very much like, the first thing on the line item budget thing to get cut. And it's also like people are, good people out there, but they're busy building it. They're busy building the new world. They're busy building solar farms and regenerative farms and eco products and a green manufacturing plant. Like they're so busy building it that they're not investing in the communications about what they're doing. And also people are scared to communicate because they haven't reached the 2020 goals. 2030 goals, 2040, 2050 goals. And so there's, as corporations are a little gun shy to communicate how far they have, the steps they have taken. So.
Yeah, I've tried to keep tabs on this, but I'm curious your perspective. This word I hear thrown around here and there is green hushing, where people are doing stuff, they're just not talking about it. What is your thought on that?
So that's a really great question and a very difficult topic. So those of us that work in sustainability, it's tough financially. There's just not enough capital in these spaces. And so there's the temptation to go work for the big Fortune 500s that are taking some steps. They may have a sustainability department, a chief sustainability officer, and a small team. And so it's tempting to go work and help them and work with them as a partner, but you have to be careful because what if they're funded by like fossil fuel companies, and a lot of them do have a lot of investment in fossil fuels, or they have other initiatives that are not good for the planet. So, there's greenwashing and green hushing. Yeah. So it's hard to, it's tricky waters. Yeah, I didn't quite answer your question, but yeah, it's definitely difficult. You have to do your diligence and figure out, be careful.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a bit of a tension there for sure between the companies that have money have an idea of what they want to say and then like what or not say, right? Because not saying something is, saying something in a different way as well, right? So
Right.
so I can imagine that there's a tension there.
Yeah, and I came across this David Fenton. I had the pleasure of meeting him at Burning Man and then meeting him in New York at Climate Week. And he's devoted the sort of last part of his career really to this exact thing, Liz. And and it's like that the oil lobby is very heavily funded and has a playbook, right? And that we're seeing in real time right now. And they're very good at executing on that. And the more progressive voices that are actually doing the good work are not very well organized and are not good at getting the message out. Or I was thinking about this, like, when was the last really catchy slogan that has come out that's been that's caught the attention of folks, other than recycle, reuse, recycle, reduce, right? Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I totally blended that one.
There's been a couple of cool advertising campaigns out there that have been great. And advertising is different than other kinds of, but there has been a cool couple. But yeah, like give a hoot, don't pollute in the 70s. Like,
That's a good one.
That's like real catchy. Like, there was this Kia commercial campaign a couple of years ago, and it was like at the Super Bowl, and and it was like you don't have to go chase rhino, save the rhinos and save the whales, like, and you see speedboat going out to save the whales. You don't have to do that stuff. You can just drive a EV car. There's been attempts at these kind of campaigns that have been effective in advertising, but it's not enough. There's not enough of this kind of
especially longer format, right? I think that's to get into the meat of the story.
That's right. And there's just not a lot of funding for it. That's the main thing. Like a lot of brands there's amazing endless amount of eco brands that are so innovative and so just great branding, just yummy food or great products or cool clothes. Like I want all the things. And they just don't have the budgets for some catchy or cool comms or advertising campaigns. So
maybe they're even a little apprehensive about putting themselves out there. And I feel like that's sometimes the screen hushing bit is just, I mean, somebody has to take a step forward, right? And sometimes it does take a lot of courage to do that and to say something spicy, that's going to maybe disrupt. And some have it, some don't. Do you find that?
Yeah, I do find that. And I would say that my theory of change is if you haven't reached your 2030 goal, your 2050 goal, or it's not 100% recyclable, or it's got a few things that were manufactured in China, a part of it, like still you took awesome steps to cut water waste or emissions, or you did these awesome things, shout that to the hilltops, because that is how other people in the sector learn from you, and you progress the whole sector that you're in forward. And it inspires other brands and other also consumers are like, okay, like I know everything I do is I fly, I drive, like nobody here is like perfect. And it's very, very difficult in the systems that we have to be fully green anyway. So
Yeah. We have to
100%.
take those steps. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think hearing those kinds of stories of just like even the like you said, like the steps you took and is inspiring, just across the board. If one company can do it, another can as well, like these kinds of things. I think that's kind of one of the reasons for this podcast as well. We hear these stories. If one production manager did this, others can too, like that kind of thing.
And we've got to
But
find
but
new ways of capital. I mean, yeah.
yeah, new ways of capital, but also I think language has to shift. Like we will be redoing our website in 2025, so that we're not preaching to the choir, using words like decarbonization, using words that are in at least America, this dialogue of woke, or conscious raising, or these kinds of things can be alienating to a lot of people that are not in those circles. And if we're going to have real progress, we have to sort of speak in a way that's like more inclusive and more not so siloed. So,
Yeah.
but I think that we can do that and remain solutions oriented. And a lot of the solutions are nature-based solutions, or just simply replacing like plastic with starch or something that is naturally made or more simple, organically. Same with power. We may not have 100% renewable, a building run on 100% renewable power, but if you have a portion of it run on renewable power and you change out the HVAC system and the heating pump, you can like really cut the emissions of that enormous building. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm really into. These are solutions.
Totally.
Nobody's expecting you to be perfect.
We got to
Um,
make those heat pumps sexy. I mean, honestly.
Well, I mean, the subsidies help, right? That's what makes them sexy. People, I mean, money talks, and people will put them in their homes if they have the right incentives.
True, but man, I wanna lean into that cool campaign and feel
It's
like I
true.
was part of it, part of the solution, and I got my subsidy. So like, you know what I mean? Like I think it's kind of like you got to tap emotion as well. I find with this stuff. I mean, talking
yeah.
to a group of seventh graders last year, like putting forth solutions, I told them to go home and tell all their parents to put in a heat pump. They were just
That's
like,
cute.
huh? Like, I was like, you don't have an EV? Your parents don't have an EV? Go bug them for one of those.
That's
Oh
awesome.
man.
But like that's
That's
stuff.
so funny.
That's the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, we're seeing it now. I mean, we've been interviewing some folks that are powering bigger stages, like Coldplay. But at the end of the day, they're still proving that they're still saving money, right? And there's still something at that point, they're still like proving that they're reducing the cost of fuel and they're reducing, CO2 and et cetera. So, at some point, yeah, still does come around to that, but it still does take leaders like, for example, Coldplay to stick their neck out and say, hey, look, we're going to do this. We know it's going to cost us some money, but we want to be on the right side of history. So I think it's like, there's things that come up regularly. Like there's always the leaders that are doing it, and then there's some point there's a dollars and cents discussion
Yep.
about it. And I, it's a tough one though, right? Because it's not always dollars and cents at the
Right.
beginning.
But I don't think you have to reinvent the wheel. I think that the
Mhm.
answer is right now where we're at is to put the systems in place of what's already there. So if you're using a diesel generator,
Yeah.
put in some solar panels. Like
Yeah. Hybridize it.
that's not changing the whole system. It's just like, yeah, what did you say? Hybridize it. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Same
Pair
for
it with
buildings,
batteries.
same for green infrastructure, same for eco products, same for all of it. So I do believe that we're in a huge industrial energy transition. It's not going to happen overnight. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have the technology today to
right.
make these changes. Right.
We
I
have
think that's something
more
that I
than enough
always
of
come
them.
up. It's like people are like, oh, well, the batteries are going to wait till they get better, or the EVs are going to wait till they get better, or whatever. Right. And it's like, no, we have it today. It actually exists. We have the technology to bring electricity, for example, to every person on the planet. Yeah,
Absolutely.
we have it. It's there.
The sun falls all around us all the time, and we're barely harnessing most of it. Every day, there's enormous amount of output. If you think about it, there's sunlight all around you, and we're harnessing like that much. And it's kind of a baby technology. And imagine, I mean, I love, we have a episodic series we're trying to eventually get funded around about 2050, or I'm sorry, 2100, what life could be like in a couple hundred years. And these small towns will be completely powered on solar. Like every window pane will have embedded photovoltaic and bringing in heat. And there's just so many amazing innovations. Our clothes will have photovoltaic to keep us warm. Like there's so many endless innovations with solar, for example, and we barely started. I like to think about the future because
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
What are you, and just on that thread, um,
yeah.
yeah, like if you could, if money wasn't a constraint, what would be that big, juicy project that you would want to showcase?
Uh, we have a couple series that we'd like to get off the ground, episodic series, and we'd like them to be translated into like multiple language markets, different for different markets so that they would be more universally seen. And there's a community in New Mexico, US. Michael Reynolds invented the Earth ship, which is a biotecture.
Mhm.
And it's living closer to the elements. And we have a series that we'd like to do about that. It could go in a couple directions, but the goal of that project, no matter how it came out, would be to get those principles into building. Because as climate increases, climate extremes increase, we all need more resilient biotecture, architecture, and biotecture is if we study animals in the way that they burrow or they live in a tree or they live in the canopy, they live in the ground. They're using the natural world to protect themselves from the elements. We're a bunch of knuckleheads. We're just building on top of the earth in these boxes. It's totally not resilient. So I think that there's a lot to learn from biomimicry in his work. So that would be one series. We have a futuristic series we'd like to do about what life is like in a couple hundred years from now when everything is
Love
run on
that.
solar and it's a quieter, more even there's more equity because everybody has energy because the sun is everywhere. I like to think about that series a lot. And then we have a couple other series that are a little more political in nature. There's one partner we have transformations in nature. So humans interacting, there's a lot of storytelling that's being gathered around interactions with a species. So like a human interacting with like an interaction with a hawk or and how that interaction with this other species changed their life or saved their life or so we're very disconnected from other species. And I think that this kind of human interaction storytelling can help people be more conscious and connected to other species. So I really want to do that series.
I love it.
That's just a few. Yeah.
I love it. I think we're disconnected from ourselves, not even including
That's
other
right.
species. So I mean, it's like we gotta even geez, I mean, we got a long road ahead here.
That's right.
But I think it's going to start moving faster. And I love those, I love thinking about the future as well. Um, I find myself just like motoring into the future and just like living in a future tense. And I'm like, okay, bring it back. Bring it
Yeah,
back.
you're a total futurist, Mark. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
love
just
that
love
about you.
thinking about it, love noodling on it. Then, one of the biggest challenges is really just really working on being present. That's one of our greatest challenges as well.
That's right. That's right. It's definitely one of my challenges. And it's hard to be present in an artificial environment all the time. And most people live in cities or in environments, these kids are growing up glued to these screens. They're so unaware of what's in the room right around them, even. They're in the screen. And it's really important to be connected to what's the moment and what's right there in the moment. And it's a lot easier when you're in nature to be connected in the present moment and to yourself. Because you take off all the sheds of society and all the judgment and all the expectations, and you just can be. We're going into a different realm here. So
I love
Totally.
it. I love it though. I mean, I think we could all like probably talk about this all day.
totally.
I'm curious though, like, you've been doing this for a little while and lots of folks have come to you and to work with you. I'm curious, like, if there's a common theme or like what maybe a central ask is when folks initially come to you. Are you noticing anything that or like, or does it really vary by client? Is there anything to tease out from kind of, the breadth of your work?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good question. You might have to edit this one. I don't know. Um, but I think in general, people come to us wanting to tell the sustainability story behind, what they're doing. Or it's solutionist thinking. Okay, it does vary per client. It really does. But overall, not in the profit sector, it's more about the sustainability storytelling and the showing that impact. So that's another thing is a lot of the work we do is considered, this is part of why funding is so difficult in communications, is that the work that we do is soft impact. It's not hard, direct impact. It's hard to gather metrics and hard data of how this content affects their bottom line. But when they show, the solar panel system on a school, and then the kids learning about the solar panel system, hearts move, minds move, and you can see the kids, the light bulbs go off in the kids, and you can see that kind of storytelling in a very human way that makes the technology alive. It brings it to life. So I think I guess the general cohesive way that people come to us is what they're really looking for is the human connection to this work. And that brings it to life. I don't know if that's clear enough or helpful enough.
Yeah, it's really interesting
Beautiful.
because we've heard that sort of same sentiment from Dr. Ryan Mortina. He created Dragon Wings, and we asked him about, why did you think about the aesthetic element of this? And he had the same kind of answer. Like, we want to bring people closer to the tech and like feel like it's not scary and like it's a beautiful thing to interact with and learn more about. So I feel like that's kind of similar to what you're saying, like in whatever it is, having that human element and connection to it um, changes the hearts and minds and has an emotional connection, and you can take it forward in whatever that looks like. So
Yeah, there's that, but there's also just a lot of what we do is explaining stuff.
yeah, I mean,
So
yeah.
there's that, but we also work with like a lot of engineers or geeky folks in their silo, scientists, like we have a carbon sequestration client, and it's like the stuff is pretty. I got this like PDF that's like very CAD, very like engineering, no person is going to understand that. So, bringing that to life is a lot of what we do also, just to add that. People need things explained. And when you see people behind the scenes explaining it and, they get it more.
It's a good point. It's
Yeah.
a good point. I think that helps us all. I like a good infographic.
Yeah. And it's just like
Yeah.
also, I mean, look, these are complex topics, right? These are complex machines and the climate's complex, right? There's a certain level of complexity to all of this stuff that I think it's easier to just, not pay attention to it or just get distracted again. But I think with that, clear messaging, distilling complex ideas, showcasing engineers, like in light of sort of to a class of grade 7 kids, right? I think this is the challenge that we have, right? And I'm just sort of noodling in my brain now. I went to the future of just like, but we still have to reimagine. We've got to be inspired, right, to reimagine the future as well. And I think that comes up quite a bit as well in some of our talks here, right? We actually interviewed these two folks that wrote a book on reimagining the future from a positive light, versus kind of all the doom and gloom that's always happening. And I thought that was really struck me because it's like, if we can't imagine what a positive future looks like, it's kind of like your 100-year project that you were just talking about, right? We need to have those tools to imagine the future that we want to have, not just Mad Max
That's
stuff, right? Because I mean, it's easy to go into Mad Max doom and gloom stuff because obviously a lot of the movies are kind of around that. But yeah, it's just kind of a really interesting thought exercise to be like, what do we actually really want in 100 years? What does the world look like in 200 years? Or how are we going to get there? And it's fun to think about.
Yeah, there's a lot of future institutes that we're trying to partner with, and for that series particularly, but also otherwise. And I think that is a big mission behind my company and the body of work we do is to show over time all these things added up. That is the vision of the future, and bringing people behind. You have the intersection of engineering, biomimicry, science, ecosystems, the natural world, which is incredibly complicated, half of which we don't even understand. And how do you bring people into these solutions? We show what we know can work, and all together that shows a future that you're talking about, Mark. Like it brings us, we need vision. People need vision. We don't need to watch another Mad Max. Sure, it's fun to go see like an IMAX, like Dune or whatever, but I think it's really important to show these micro solutions because that starts to build the bigger picture, and it's hard to comprehend the bigger picture. So
yeah, and it's even more relevant now with the changing political dynamics, not just in the U.S., but it's all over the world. It's not just an American thing, right?
that's right.
And so, yeah, we really do need to reimagine how we're even approaching these things and how we're going to do it. Otherwise, we're just going to get bogged down in the next 4 years or whatever it is. And Canada's going to be, we're going to have our own sort of version in some form. As the Liberals are probably going to be voted out and in the spring, and so. Yeah, it's just interesting. It's not just a country by country thing. It's really a global challenge.
Mm-hmm. Tapping into creativity, like an imagination. It's like our greatest superpower as humans is to be able to create, I think. And this exercise of reimagining and showing what's possible is, I think, critical in inspiring people to do that, to create. So
and my hope is like with AI, that the more that we put out there as solutions and the more that there's more content that is showing in this path, and this can be bipartisan. Having climate resilient solutions is bipartisan. It is not.
That's true. Yeah.
And I think the more of that we put out there, eventually when these AI, if you think about AI, it's like, it's collective consciousness. It's really like going to aggregate all these solutions more and more. And like, if you think about like a mycelium network, and we're all like in a mycelium network, it's like thinking that way, it's going to be able to aggregate faster, more climate solutions, and put those solutions to work faster. I'd like to take that positive view rather than a dystopian,
Yep.
Yeah.
like seeing the world,
I
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a great book by James Lovelock called The Novacene, and he actually talks about that. We're actually we're moving from the Anthropocene, which has been like the last 300 years, where we sort of really became detached from nature and sort of the overlords of nature, to the Novacene, where we're sort of this great mergence, right, with technology and with AI, and we actually don't. It's actually our human destiny, he says, right, to merge with technology, and to help us solve some of these complex problems that we are not equipped to solve today.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
I just thought it's such a far out, cool concept, and it's it's a short read, but I just really love that hopeful side of things. And I think it's important to always keep that in mind. And I recommend whoever's out there to have a listen on audiobook or read that book, but it's a really nice framework for thinking about it.
Cool. I will listen to it. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I guess, in your view, Liz, like what do you think we all, like from a communication standpoint or storytelling standpoint, what do you think we need to like double down on? Like, is there a particular approach to communicating solutions or anything like that that you think really needs to be focused on?
I think amplifying content that's already out there would be great. That's number one. I can just list a couple things. I mean, I think if you, just, shaming doesn't work. You don't ever tell people what to eat. Like, people want to eat a big hamburger. Okay. Like, that's never going to work. Like, but I think, somehow getting people to question why they're making the choices they're making. Like, what you're doing is so old school, man. Like, making it like, like a lot of people are just, like, I saw this billboard. I was driving through New Jersey recently, and I saw this billboard, and it's this company, and it was like, eat clean, bro. And it's like, a company to get, it's kind of like, you don't have to change your whole life. You don't have to like become this other person. You can still have your same life, but just, why are you making the choices you're making? Like, getting people to kind of, it doesn't have to be an elitist thing that you try to buy the organic crackers versus the other box, like just making little changes and getting people to understand that they don't have to be differently. And they people are like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help the climate. It's like, you don't have to know what to do. Just do little tiny things every day. Like, recycle your old electronics, like eat clean, bro. Like, the more, when you go to Target or you go to CVS, you go to these like box stores, but there is organic options. Buy those options because dollars speak. And then the buyers are going to buy more of those things to put in the store. And then your family's going to have healthier choices in the box store, like, so that's the kind of thing. Just making little changes in your life that you can tweak. It does add up. Bringing bags to the grocery store, bringing your own coffee mugs, bringing your own water bottles, like buying clothes that are made ethically, recycling, donating. Like, I just think there's a lot of things that people could do.
My brain is already turning like, like it's starting to stretch just by some of the things you're saying and just a different way of thinking about all of this. Like that's what I love. That's what I totally love. I love that feeling of stretch, and kind of getting outside of the comfort zone. I don't know why I like it so much because it's uncomfortable. But anyway, I totally hear you. Well, I said I think a couple times, like, work behind the scenes, film and TV productions, and I'm like, okay, you have the same budget. You can either shoot clean or shoot dirty. How do you want to do it?
That's
You know,
right.
like that kind of thing. So that your eat clean, bro, like totally reminded me.
That's so good.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like as simple as just making little tweaks in your life. Like that adds up. It adds up. And if everybody did that, millions and millions and millions of gigatons of emissions reduction, saving the soil, saving the ocean, saving the rivers, like there's just less species killed. Like there's millions of reasons to just make these little choices. But I think people have the wrong idea about climate change. They think, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it. It doesn't matter if I recycle. It doesn't matter if I get in. But little changes add up with millions of people do it. And the second thing I'll say is people should be brave and be radical. Also, like make big fucking changes. Like I don't know, like why not? Like, have you not heard about the latest hurricanes and storms? Like so I think people think about it. And it's either peer pressure, they don't want to be seen as a greenie, or they don't know. I don't know. I just think people should be more radical, and the younger generations are far more radical, and we should take their lead.
Yeah, totally. Oh man. Wow. We definitely covered the gamut here today.
Sorry.
Love it.
No, it's great. It's great. It's so good. So we ask all of our guests this question as we're rounding things up here. And so Zena and I want to, we're looking at creating a playbook, like with guiding principles around sustainability and production and entertainment.
Cool.
So if you were to create a playbook with, the top guiding principle around sustainable production, what would be first or second on your list?
For media production?
Yeah, entertainment in general.
I think all power should be run on renewables, and that includes all the way from the lights on set and the battery charging stations to the server farms that are streaming the content, because that is a huge concern, is the amount of power that streaming and everything is shot in 4K now, and the files are big and they use a lot of power. So having green power at home and having these server farms run on 100% green energy is what I would say are the biggest top level changes in the industry that need to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the storytelling would be second. We don't necessarily need to redo like a lot of types of storytelling. I think we just have to embed it in that. Meet people where they are, what they're used to watching, what they like to go, what their go-tos are. People like reality TV, people like food cooking shows, they like their dramas. So why not embed more sustainability in those scripts, in those storytelling, in a romance or a drama,
Yeah.
Amen.
Cool. Love it.
All right. I hope it was helpful.
100%.
That was great.
Yeah.
I love literally, I 100% agree. It's like, we literally can power every production with renewable energy. Like, we can do it. It's possible today.
It's possible. People are. That's the thing. Like, we've talked to people who are doing it, and it's really cool. So it's like for the folks who are, saying like, oh, I don't know, I don't trust it, or whatever it is. We're like, oh, these guys are doing it. Like it's so 100%.
And they're going to eat your lunch.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And it's transferable to other industries. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, that's why, Mark, you do what you do, and keep going. You guys keep going.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. And I'm inspired by everybody like yourself, and inspired by Zena all the time. I mean, it's just, there's just, I think we all work together to do this. And I really do. Your message did resonate with me. And we don't have to completely reinvent everything and, go on it. Like, little steps, start little steps, start changing, your life, little steps here and there, make different choices. I love that. That resonated with me. And I'm sure that'll resonate with lots of folks out there.
Just giving folks permission to like do the small stuff. Like, it's not like it's okay. You can do it. So
Eat clean, bro.
eat clean, bro. Like that's gonna stay with me all day. I'm totally gonna say that at dinner tonight.
I'm so glad
I wonder what the brand is. What's that brand though? Like,
I don't know. I don't know much about them, and I don't know. Now you're giving press to them, and I know nothing about them.
I
don't know. It's like I have a friend who is a former TV exec, and she's like, she's dealt with a lot of advertisers, and we talk a lot about how to embed sustainability and some ideas we have and shows that we're trying to get off the ground. And she says, like, yeah, just shove the vitamin in the dog pill, like, like in the dog food, like just it's kind of like you don't have to reinvent the in the dog treat. You don't have to reinvent the dog treat. Just put the vitamin in there. Put the healthy stuff in the systems we have already. Put the cleaner energy in there. We don't have to rebuild our whole society just to be more climate responsible and climate stabilizing.
Yeah. Until we're forced to by the laws of nature.
Yeah.
Anyway,
people are freaked out enough.
On that note, thank you so much, Liz. It's been great chatting with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me and inviting me. And it's great to see you. And nice to meet you, Zena.
You too. Mark, oh my gosh, like love talking to her. Like, thanks for suggesting her as a guest on the show. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's great. And we had a great time at New York Climate Week as well. So she, all around awesome person.
Totally. I love her breadth of experience and, just some of the things she sees, the trends she sees and how she's working with people, just super cool, super inspiring. And, one of the big takeaways for me is like messaging.
Always messaging.
So
eat clean, bro.
Eat clean, bro. Like I'm totally like, I'm going to co-opt that for the film industry. We should do like what? Shoot clean, yo, or something like that.
Shoot clean, yo. That's it. That's the one. And like, it's good. I can see it. I can see stickers.
Oh my gosh. Stickers on cameras and on boxes, like gear boxes.
Clean, yo.
All this stuff. Oh yeah. We could totally do that. So
I think so. We've got the tie-in stickers. Hey, if any of you guys want stickers, let us know.
Oh, email us. Go to the website, put in your email, tell us what you want. We've got stickers. They're super cool stickers too. So we'll send you one. There you go.
You can't really see it, but
anyway, it's really good. Send you a sticker.
I love it. And don't forget to check us out on tieinpodcast.com, TIEIN podcast.com, as well as on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and anywhere else that you find your podcast and social media.
Totally. And it's really important that you guys like us on those pages because that's how we get traction, through the algorithms and whatnot. So if you like this podcast, like or subscribe, both, whatever it takes, on the page. And that's going to help
Spotify, iTunes, YouTube.
All of it. Yeah. Like it. And that'll help bump us up a bit in the algorithm. So thank you. Really appreciate you listeners for tuning in. We've gotten some feedback from you all. Folks are really liking the podcast. But write us through the website and tell us what you think, suggest a guest, any of that stuff. We are open, all ears. I mean, we want to bring forth the stories of the people doing really cool stuff. So if you got something, let us know. And we really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Hello, entertainment industry. Something I've been working on over the past year with partners U.S. Green Building Council California and Aerith Environmental is the development of the Sustainable Production for Entertainment Certification, or SPEC, as we like to call it.
It's the first certification for the entertainment workforce, and it's now live for folks to sign up.
Yeah, go to the U.S. Green Building Council California website at usgbc-ca.org to learn more about it and to register for an upcoming class. This is a great way to up your sustainability game and gain a professional certification. So this is for you. See you in class.
Our designer is Aaliyah Kane. Music is by Peter Chapman. Our producer is Colin Miller.